On November 23rd, 1963, in the BBC channel, a weird sci-fi show had just hit the screens of Britain, with an alien resembling an old man as its protagonists, traveling through all of time and space in his blue box, alongside his granddaughter and her school teachers. Against all odds, it was successful and took Britain by storm, with characters as iconic as the Daleks having so much popularity in the 90s that a documentary called Dalek Mania was released, explaining how big of a phenomenon the popularity of Doctor Who and its characters were. But nothing could last forever. The lead actor, William Hartnell, was getting old and couldn't remember all his lines during the shootings. With the possibility of canceling the show, the studio had to do something bold, to change something big. The show was not unfamiliar with change, with the support cast changing as the series went by, but there was always a constant. The lead was the same. So 3 years after the show had begun, the choice was made to change the lead actor, but keeping him as the same character. So just like that, William Hartnell left the show, and Patrick Troughton took the role, shocking not only his companions who witnessed the change, but also shocking the whole of Britain. To the audience, it was explained that he was an alien, and that's just something that Doctor could do, changing his appearance but keeping all his memories. In other words, the same guy with a different face. And it was a hit. The public that was at first very cautious with the change accepted it and kept watching, and changing actors every few seasons became the norm and one of the most recognizable things about the show. But when I first watched the show, as a 13-year-old, I didn't know all this information about it. I didn't know that the show was 60 years old, nor did I know that the protagonists change faces ever so often. I started watching because a friend told me that it was a very good sci-fi show with a lot of time travel involved. And as I was watching, I was liking the show more and more. But when the final season came to a close, I found myself with a problem. The protagonist just changed face. The show told me it was the same guy with a different face, but I could not see it. Whenever I looked at the TV, the same thought ran through my head. He's not a doctor that I once knew, but I wasn't the only one. All of the characters around him had the same problem. They looked at someone they knew, but could not recognize them. Later on the show, expanding in this recurrent struggle, and this quote from the 12th Doctor summarizes it best from his point of view. You can't see me, can you? You look at me and you can't see me. Do you have any idea what that's like? I'm right here, standing in front of you. Please, just see me. As the episodes went on, not only me, but also the characters started to warm up to the new face. So much so that it became my favorite incarnation of the character for a very long time. So as the show went on, my life also went on. On my teenage years, I found more and bigger changes in my life than the main actor of my favorite show changing. The school life was changing, my friends were changing as people, I was changing the people that I walked with, and the weirdest and most concerning of all, I was changing as well. I started to look different, to sound different, talk about different things and liked different things. Through all that, I started to find comfort in the static things in life, like watching another episode of Doctor Who, until that changed again, and changed dramatically. The show had a whole different feel to it, with a different director, a whole new cast of characters, a new doctor, and much later was the same. But I gave it a chance, and ended up loving it, the same way that I loved the previous seasons. At this point, I was good enough at English to see what people were thinking about the show all over the globe. And it was an eye-opening experience to see that this new season that I was loving almost didn't happen. As the previous actor was so popular and so loved as the character, the BBC was starting to think about cancelling the show because they could not imagine another actor could be more popular or even close to what he was. Yes, The BBC thought it was a good idea to cancel the then 50-year-old show because they feared that the fans would not accept change. I discovered that it was an unending struggle with the reactions from fans all throughout Britain as they tried to resist changing the show all about change. Some abandon the show, but most persist through changes and end up finding a new appreciation for the show. In regards to changes, the series showrunner once said, "Doctor Who doesn't survive despite the changes. Doctor Who survives because of the changes," which can be complemented with this quote from one of his episodes. "Things end, that's all. Everything ends, and that's always sad, but everything begins again too, and that's always happy." This line of thinking is something that I wholeheartedly agree with. As I was watching it, I felt that the show was changing with me. Like that friend that you reconnect after a few years. You remember all the things you did together, but you also know that today both of you are different people. And you know that if you hang out together, you won't be the same, as you both changed. And it will be something new. Not necessarily bad or worse, just different. I want to finish this TED Talk by telling a quote, the last quote from the 11th Doctor before he regenerated into 12. He said, "We all change when you think about it. We are all different people all throughout our lives, and that's okay. You gotta keep moving so long as you remember all of the people that you used to be. And I will always remember when the Doctor was me."